Okay, so we should be recording. Yes, it's recording. Hey, everybody, how you doing? I'm here with our man Sterling. If you remember, he's actually going to show himself today. So he's one of my favorite psychics. And after this, if you on my YouTube on the bottom, I'll have his link. But he's been really good with me as far as stuff that he's picking up. Very calming effect, which I like about Sterling. So hi, Sterling.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. Nice to be on your show.
Oh, well, I'm very, very thrilled. Okay, so first question. What do you think about the stock market? Is it going to stop? Is it going to go back?
Yeah, no, it's eventually going to rebound, but as I think everybody knows, I'm not saying anything out of turn, it's all tied to the virus, COVID-19. Let me just start off by saying that before I got on the phone with you here in the video, my guys will usually start talking to me. And one of the things they said was that, this virus has been around for hundreds of years.
Really?
Now man has not seen it, but it's been around for hundreds of years. And there was a certain set of circumstances that came together that, really caused it to now take effect right now. So it's going to go in a cycle. We're certainly going to see, 3-4 month major activity here.
Yeah.
But there definitely will be a vaccine that will be developed, and I see it coming from a remote part of the world, which is kind of interesting. So there'll be a development in the remote part of the world that'll come forward. But as that starts to happen, as you get out to like July, August,
yeah,
it'll start to be a rebounding in the stock market. So it'll be fluctuating along with the activity on the COVID-19.
Right, July, August.
Yeah.
What about, do you feel like we're going to have a lot more deaths or?
There's a certain percentage of death. And let me take it from a little bit different angle, because one of the things they said, again, before I got on the video here, was that there's a lot of light workers that came down to this earth at this time. So you're certainly a light worker. I've been called upon. But a lot of us, agreed to come down here for this particular time. And so it's really kind of our responsibility to help ground people, give, clear messaging, and help guide people through the whole process. So
right.
There was some death in the process, but I really feel that, being a light worker, as a lot of us are, and a lot of the people you have on your channel are, that's definitely going to help move humanity the right direction.
Right. And, my guides have been kind of, I'm sort of surprised because there's so many infections, and they were almost acting like, don't worry, Linda, like this is not, but remember the other side doesn't look at death like it's horrible.
Correct.
It's almost like you're free. But it wasn't like, when I pick up horrible, it'd be like a plane crash or bombings, those kind of deaths they look. But for some reason, this one is the nature of things, almost like the 1918. I just feel like not as many people will die, but I feel like they're going to come up with something. That's what they were telling me. And one of the dates they gave me was Mother's Day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's the cleansing of the universe that's going on right now. And that's just say, just in general, the way everything is changing. One of the good things is that this is a bit of a reset for humanity. And so, a lot of people have gotten far too, they've really forgotten really what the world and life and the universe are all about. And
right, we get caught up in our own heads. Yeah.
And it's a reset for a lot of people.
Well, I know I'm older than you, but when I was young, I remember walking around in fear for the bombings. We had to go under the desk. Nuclear was for me at that time. And it's weird that now that our children and our children's children are having to go through this pandemic. It's almost like it doesn't really hit them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The fear part is not good for us, my friend.
It isn't, and it's a time to pause, as they're saying, and to kind of center yourself and get grounded. And I think there's a lot of people around on this earth right now that are going to help with that process.
Did your guides have any other message you want to say before we start?
Yeah, just that the Dr. Anthony Fauci, I think is how you say his last name.
Yeah.
This CDC expert, or the one that's obviously in the White House, is actually, they said, just to be clear, that he's the North Star. So he's actually being put in place. So he's going to help steer the ship. I think a lot of people have
Wow.
already, a lot of
They're
people
not
have
going to
already.
get rid of him?
No, he's going to be. They told me they call him the North Star. So that means to help
Wow.
people kind of pilot the right direction in the midst of a storm. But there will be an antivirus, and it's coming from a remote part of the world, which is interesting. A lot of good
There'll
activities
be
going
another
on.
virus, you said?
The actual antiviral shot.
Oh, antiviral. Okay. But it's not coming from the US.
So the U.S. will be involved, but they were very clear for whatever reason. They said it's coming from a remote part of the world, which means it's probably being worked on or had been worked on, and something gets revived.
Yeah,
So
my guy said there was going to be an injection you could take,
yeah,
or this
yeah,
won't be a problem anymore.
yeah. And it's going to really start to be much clearer in terms of that antiviral, medication in around August for me. So
Okay, well, you know what I saw? I saw when I was young at my elementary school, they had the parents and the kids all come down in the cafeteria and get in line to get the polio cube.
sure.
You probably too young.
Well, I remember hearing about it.
And so me and my family all went down there. I remember thinking they gave me one sugar cube, and I was like, "Can I have more, please?" But
More never
that
hurt.
was a great, little did I realize how significant this was, because people who were born even the year before me, I'm talking to now, that had gone through a bout of polio or they had a brother or sister. It was a pretty significant, scary thing,
Yeah,
including
absolutely.
our president, who had polio. So what I saw, what my guys showed me, whatever the time frame is, people just lining up. So I'm wondering, like, I belong to Kaiser. I wouldn't doubt if they say, okay, and even give out times and dates and tell you need to be here at this time. And then we all get in line for our injection.
Yeah, no, it'll be rolled out in very similar fashion. You're right.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I just see massive amounts. They're just going to make sure it's rest to go.
Right.
Is that
There's also some good news for some people that contract it. It's actually going to help accelerate the cure. So, whether the antibodies that the body creates or whatnot, for the people that have gotten COVID-19 and got over it, that's actually going to help accelerate,
I heard something on the news today. They were talking about getting the antibodies.
Yeah, so that for me, that's all coming together in a very big way around August, where the antibodies and this remote vaccine, from a remote part of the world, it kind of all starts coming together into focus. So,
But Scott, do you see that nobody can go back to work till August, or you see they come up with a cure, but it's already kind of filtered out?
yeah, I mean, it looks to me like it's going to be sort of a huddle in place sort of a thing for a good 3 months here. There may be some aberrations of that, I'll call it, whereby there are certain facilities they have more drive-up services, whether it be the supermarket or whatnot. But for a good 3 months here, it's going to take that long to kind of get over that bell curve, so we kind of get
That's
down the
right.
other side of it. Yeah, so.
So how are you feeling about California?
I think the leaders took the right steps.
I do too. Gavin
So
Newsom said, shut her down.
they did.
People were upset, but New York didn't do that.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, but now they're part of it, part of the five. I guess the
Right.
five states
And
have done it.
Florida, with all those elderly, they're not getting hit like we did.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Obviously, with the beach scene with summer break, you probably saw that all over the news. But
Yeah, all them young kids.
but
Well, I live out here near Marin County. I don't know if you saw in the news. People
yeah,
were upset saying, go home, go home. So now they've shut down all our parks, and you can walk. If you can walk there, you can go, but you don't take a vehicle. You can ride a bike.
sure.
So
It's yeah, I think California is going to stabilize. Everybody's going through this, but as I said, I think this was lying in wait, for Mother Nature. This is may sound a little tongue in cheek, but it kind of feels like the world is kind of taking control back.
that's
Mother
it.
Nature's taking control back, and in a lot of areas, whether it be global warming or the way mankind is treated, Mother Earth, there's a little bit of a reset.
A little bit of a reset. I felt that, and I felt like my guides were saying to me basically that we were kind of asking for this. And by asking, I mean energetically, with all this drama and hating the administration and blah, blah, blah. It's almost like they hit us and they hit us hard.
Exactly. Yeah. So, one interesting thing, and I don't follow numerology a lot, but that I'm not sure if this happens to you. Maybe you've mentioned this, but seeing a lot of repeating numbers, right?
Yeah.
So for a good year, I saw a lot of repeating, a lot of fives. Fives usually signify change, but there were certain warnings I think going on that I saw like for a year. So I guess I wasn't completely surprised when this came up.
Right. Well, they've always told me, I've been saying on my videos,
Yeah.
get ready, because we were coming and couldn't tell. And I still think we have some earth changes coming up, some significant earth changes. But what I got was the collective consciousness of mankind was getting ready to get hit, almost like that 9/11 thing.
Yeah.
Where it kind of changed everybody, like they're, whoa. Although that caused more hate. And Trump would love to push it towards hating the Chinese,
Yeah, yeah.
But didn't we start that virus with the pigs?
You mean like where'd it come from?
No, we because we had too many pigs,
Right.
They all got sick and we caused a flu. So it's United States, should we call it United States pig flu?
Very good. Well, I'll leave that up to you.
So I do think, and I can't think, I have to let them do it, but I've always known that Trump wasn't going to come back. Okay. And this is like, if people can't see it now, I don't know what else to do. This has destroyed him. I read for some Trumpsters that actually are already deciding, nope. Of course, it's sad because it's about losing money, but.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a very interesting situation in our lifetime, having this kind of a presidency. Real eye opener, I think, to a lot of people. I think you and I might have talked a couple of months ago about this topic, but I was mentioning that, I think a lot of people were asleep at the wheel, during that last election. They didn't vote or didn't care, whatever it was.
But they didn't really, because thanks to Russia, they weren't into Hillary. Right.
And so you got more responsibilities required, obviously, on behalf of everyone. But in a weird sort of a way, the universe takes care of itself. And so a lot of what's happening during this particular presidency is really, again, a wake-up call. There's, 2020 is really a wake-up call in a lot of areas.
And it also feels that they hurt us. Energetically, the universe, we are constantly moaning and groaning, dear God, please get rid of him. And they hurt us. And it's almost like sometimes we may think, well, why did you do that? It's like even in relationships, my last marriage was awful. And I complained about it out loud. And then he left. And then I'm like, what? And then, because women, you can't leave a woman, she has to leave you. And I was like, that's I turned into the demon from hell. But the long story short is, I wasn't happy and I hadn't been happy, and they answered me. And they caused it to happen in a way that was a little ego deflating. But at the end of the day, I am in so much grace that, that this had happened and I started my new adventure. They hear you. If you're in a bad job, you know how you get shocked. Oh my God, I got fired. But actually, you were asking, because a lot of people, when I start to read them, they'll say, Linda, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, you guys are telling me that you weren't really happy. And they'll go, oh, yeah, not really.
It's really, it speaks to manifesting, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously. So like with your last marriage, you actually were manifesting it.
Yeah. Oh,
the exit.
Yeah. But it was catapulted me to my new beginning. And it's the best thing that isn't that sad when you say a divorce was the best thing that ever happened to me, and my cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, that was really life-changing for you on your life course.
I've never been happy. I mean, how can you be gleeful about cancer? But it changed me. So maybe this virus, as awful as it is, maybe people will say, well, this is where the shift happened. This is where we began anew. Yeah,
and it's going to change the work style and the social interaction going forward for decades. So this is a reset on all that, which is not a bad thing. It's the world's very global. Right.
So are we going to go to paper voting, or did you get ahead on that?
It looks to me like what they're telling me is it's going to be more or less a parallel process. So they'll try to go to paper voting, but they're going to run it like in tandem with something else electronically,
Okay.
and then try to in the near term just try to reconcile, do they match, kind of a thing. So so I don't think the next election is going to be purely paper, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
gonna help though. It's gonna help from any foreign intrusion. So having the
Oh,
backup
good.
paper will help, because if anything gets disrupted, I feel somehow in the Midwest it's going to get disrupted electronically. Don't know why they would focus on the Midwest, but something about shifting voting there electronically, and then that's discovered. So.
Okay. Okay. Now listen, real quick, I wanted to ask you about, I've been getting a weird feeling about Russia.
And just in terms of their dealings with the U.S.
I'm
or
feeling like they're struggling, and of course they're not going to tell us. It's not even about the virus, it's about the economy.
yeah, you know, Trump's obviously very involved in a lot of the finances and things going on there. So it's something that really um, it's something that's very it's melted together. And I also feel that Russia's been very instrumental with China and with North Korea. So trying to get everybody together to say, look, calm down, tame down, all this aggression, because we've got other things we got to get taken care of. So
Okay, because they Saudi Arabia and Russia, I guess he's getting pennies on the gallon for his stuff.
yeah,
I saw Putin running for his life. And I was trying to think, because I saw the UK go through a real bad time economically. I'm not quite sure what else is getting ready to occur.
yeah,
But I saw this years ago. And I
yeah.
even see some natural disasters. So if you think about it, even the way things are going with us, the last thing we need is a big earthquake. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I saw the UK going through hell, trying to come up like a phoenix from the ashes. I've predicted this for a while. It might even be France and Spain, but I also see it's going to affect Russia. I just wanted to know if you got any hit. But
Yeah, I see a lot of. I guess I don't call it out when they talk to me. They don't call it out as just Russia, but it's kind of, there's a big interconnection there with China and with North Korea. There's somehow a very strong linkage between all three of those,
okay,
and there's a lot of fear in terms of how things are going to go in the future. So economically and militarily and that one. So I feel like they're in linkage right now, but they're also concerned because Trump's involved with a lot of finances. I think there's a lot of promises that have been made, a lot of leveraged capital, and now the U.S. is struggling. So that's the fear I pick up with that linkage with those three.
and we owe China a bunch of money. We take a bunch of
Right.
loans from them.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. But you see, if financially this doesn't go down, I think I see where you're going with it. That's going to be very difficult on Putin because of all the leveraged assets and loans and things that have
Right.
gone out.
Well, this $50 billion bailout that, by the way, we're not supposed to ask who they're giving it to. It's
Mhm.
hush hush. Munchkin is in charge of it.
Mhm.
And they asked the president, so what's the deal? Are you going to be having your paws in this money? And he didn't answer them. He said, I've lost billions and billions and billions of dollars since becoming president.
No, it's all going to come. It's all going to come out, and I think that it's going to be quite interesting. I think you might have touched base a while back, but I feel like the financial records are already out there in the quasi-public domain. What I mean by that is that there's some linkage to the New York Times, whether it's a reporter that got a hold of them, but the financial records on Trump are out there. But that'll be the tip of the iceberg that'll kind of create.
That's what I saw come crashing down. I don't even know if it's SCOTUS that releases it, because is this affecting Roberts at all? Justice Roberts? All this pressure?
Absolutely. I mean, it's affecting everybody. But I don't feel he has any direct control over the releasing of finances per se. That is, I think this is going to come out through, and I'll use the term a rogue reporter, somebody that may have had affiliation with the New York Times and maybe no longer does. But for a couple of months here, I've seen them holding these documents, kind of trying to figure out how can I get these released. So,
okay. So do you think that Trump will be voted out, or he'll just step away because he can't take the heat?
It's like a massive collision. So it's like, a lot of things come down all at once, and whether he was supposed to be the quasi-candidate or not, the collision of all these forces and records being released, it won't be a possibility. So, yeah, but I thought that collision would have started to occur here in March.
Okay.
Because I really felt like
It is.
yeah,
This virus is not helping him at all.
no, very true. And
He complained on Twitter that all that's happening on the news is people are bashing him. You think,
right.
Mr. This is a hoax virus?
Right. Like, he had good company with a couple other news channels. That's true. So, yeah, I remember I was talking to my wife Linda, and I said, this is a
He has a high-class name, by the way.
There you go. And I get you too confused every once in a while. I have to remember one's my wife and one's not. So
Yeah.
But I remember March 13th came up, and it'd be like Friday the 13th. It was a month before that happened. And I remember telling Linda, I said, there's something major going to happen around Trump March 13th. I think that was when a lot of this came out, that it was declared a worldwide pandemic, and a lot of things got released. If I go back and look at the news reports for March 13th. So
And it's so
right.
funny because he is like, I knew it was going to be a pandemic.
Yeah. Well, we all know.
Hoax, the fake Democrat hoax.
Yep.
So now listen, Rand Paul, is he going to be okay even though he was exposed?
Yeah, I mean, what I get is that it's actually going to sideline a number of senators. So I don't necessarily see him being taken out. I mean, that is medically through death or something. But I see that there's some divine intervention there.
Wow.
Is that because of exposure, it takes out a lot of the senators
Wow.
into self-quarantine and makes things much more difficult for things to move forward. So yeah, there's a bit of a hurting of all the COVID-19 Republican senators. So.
Okay, that makes sense. So as we come into the new, how many months are we off? 8 months or something?
Uh-huh.
Are we going to get the blue wave again?
Yeah. And it's interesting in terms of the presidential race. You have talked a couple times about this. There's going to be a lot going on there, not just with the presidency, but with the Senate and continuing with the House. This has been it'll be a good purging,
Okay.
and a restart. It will be. So I do see a blue wave.
I'm thinking all those irritants are going to get voted out. People like, I don't know about Ted Cruz, but I definitely feel O'Connell, Mitch, by the hair of his chinny chin chin. If he makes it, it'll be very small. But if more than likely he's going to, I just know the Senate will be blue.
It will be. And it's funny, well, not so funny, but, in terms of other health problems, not related to the virus, there's other health problems coming up with Republicans in the Senate that will sideline them. So, yeah.
Interesting.
You
know who I always feel that's sick is Barr. I always feel he's sick. But he still tries to do those underhanded, he tried to say, yeah, well, so people don't get habeas corpus anymore because of the virus. What?
Yeah. Well, they're all they all come from the same clubhouse, right? So they all.
Oh my God, he's still evil, even though
Yeah, it's what happens when a reality star makes it into the White House, I guess. So.
But I want to ask you. I've gotten this vision. I've told my client, my peoples this vision. I want to ask you too. I strongly see Barr, all of them, Pompeo, Trump, grabbing paperwork, destroying evidence before they leave. Totally illegal, but I see them do it.
Yeah, and what's interesting is what I pick up is that a lot of the important paperwork is being held for safekeeping. So it's like somebody has either duplicate copies, or they've got it in an area of an archive that when the timing's right, they'll be able to pull it forward. So whatever they think they're destroying.
That's what I was getting, that they think they're taking stuff with them and tearing it up.
Yeah, they'll absolutely. I just see this other large, treasure chest of documents and things that say, here's the paper trail, here's where everything was supposed to be, because to put it bluntly, they're not that smart,
Right.
to understand. They think, well, if we get rid of these documents over here, they're not understanding the federal area. There are other documents and things that lead to the same conclusion.
Right. Right. So what are we is Roger Stone gonna serve jail time?
That's a good one. What I'm being told is that there's something having to do with, I want to call it a good face gesture, but it's almost like they start him serving out some time to say, oh, look, he's starting to serve out some time, and then they pull him back.
So they'll
So
get him, yeah.
it's almost like he starts. I don't remember what the sentence was, but it seems
Wasn't
like
it 4 years or something like that?
something like that. And it looks like they'll start it out and then say, okay, time served. You don't have to. So
Is that because of Trump?
yeah, I think it's gonna, because of the boys in the club. Yeah.
Yeah, but then if he pardons them or gets them out, then they can't plead the fifth when we go to hang Trump up.
No, that's true. But, just like I think what happened to, some past presidents, there's going to be a point at which there's such an avalanche of information that let's say, okay, look, it's best if you just go and we just, you're out of here, we bury this, rather than try it all in the public. So.
Okay. Yeah, because if whoever becomes president, I know that we're going to go back and hit Jared Kushner. I saw Jared Kushner in trouble. I saw Don Jr. in trouble. Trump, I'm not seeing him being able to handle it. I'm almost feeling like he might check out before it gets too bad.
Yeah, I don't, I highly suspect that there's some other things after he gets out of office. There's some medical challenges there that,
Yeah, because I feel like he really kind of falls apart.
Yeah, and I think that, the stress, we're all human beings, but the stress is really worn on him. And
well, it's so sad that he's such a liar and a bully, because really he's a lost child that just wants everybody to like him. But he'll push you and lie to you and make you suffer if you don't like him. There's kind of an evil thing with him.
Yeah, no, there is. I thought it was very interesting the times he's been at the podium. There'll be serious topics covered, and they'll say, by the way, this gentleman's been doing a fantastic job, probably better than anyone, except for Pence and myself. So he always include himself in, doing the best.
Oh, he wanted to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Remember, he made the Japanese guy, and even had the little things made up for his Margot place. The little Nobel Peace winner Trump.
Exactly.
Well, this guy had the Time magazine up in his golf course. He never was on the front of Time, and now that's a deal. They will never put Trump on the front. They put Bannon.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Right after that, that's when Trump got rid of him.
No, very true. Very true.
He's so jealous.
So good times are coming. I mean, and that may sound kind of strange to say in the mid of this COVID-19 virus, but I think if everybody takes time to kind of ground themselves, and
after we're out of this, we're going to look back and realize this is changing for the better.
They'll realize it was a good time for the universe and the world. They really
and also, it will get rid of Trump. I'm telling you right now, he has shown himself to be an idiot. Now, did you hear Kudlow and Trump have announced everybody can go back to work next week?
I hadn't heard that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Scientists be damned. They know what's best.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I wish it was faster, but I do feel like we've all got about a steady kind of 3-month cycle here where we're going to have to really
still have to be on the roller coaster.
Yeah.
But he threatened us. Trump threatened us. He said, if basically, well, I think he even said if he got voted out, he would just go. He wouldn't do any of that, passing the baton to the next person. That's a bunch of bull. He says, you'll never see me again.
He changes his mind from day to day, so you
don't let the door hit you on the way out
with a grain of salt. Yeah, absolutely.
What is the hate for Obama? Is it because he's a black man, or he's just hated Obama?
Yeah, that's strange. I don't have good insight in that particular area because he was really divinely sent. I mean, he really did a nice job for the country. No human being is perfect, but I think Obama, you see Obama kind of resurgence and kind of get more involved in the election as we get towards the end of the year. So
Okay.
in terms of backing candidate, and, yeah.
I see a good administration coming up. I don't know about you.
I do, and I still see a dark-haired woman as the vice president.
Yes. Yes, and she's smart. I've always, it could be wishful thinking. I always thought it was Stacey Abrams, but
Maybe.
maybe it's Kamala. Camilla's
Maybe.
going to have something to do. I always thought she'd be good with the DOJ, but maybe they'll put Adam Schiff in the DOJ.
Yeah, and I'll give you another wild card.
What?
Maybe Michelle Obama.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be a powerful ticket? Yeah.
Holy cow. Holy.
Yeah.
And I do see Elizabeth Warren having something to do with this administration.
Oh, she will. Absolutely. Yeah. She'll definitely be a major contributor to policy.
Right. And Amy, I think Amy, I don't know about Pete. I don't see Pete going in.
Yeah, I think he'll be involved too. Yeah.
Oh,
although it looks to me like, and this is something that I get on both sides of the coin, he's taken a little bit of an entertainment, side route. So he's been hosting some talk shows and things like that.
Okay.
So he may have his leg in both camps, partly politics and partly entertainment. So.
Now, what about, I think Bloomberg has a big deal to do. I think he's the one that's going to finance the Democrats to get out from underneath this administration.
I do, because, as I said before, I still see that it was a billionaire and a purple billionaire that was going to be the next president. Now, we all know, Bloomberg came in and he went out. Didn't really understand why that happened. But, obviously there was a lot of process there. But it looks like he will still be very much involved, and he obviously helped with the last round of elections.
Okay.
So, he helped buy a lot of the seats in terms of, promotions and all the advertising had to get out there. So he'll still be very much involved.
Now, we're doing pretty good. I only usually last about 30 minutes.
Okay.
But question, the world itself, the other countries, because a lot of people, including Germany, do they understand that it's not our fault that this bozo got in there, that basically they're not holding it against us? Is it going to be a lot of hard work to become friends again with other nations?
No, because interestingly enough, they're going through their own challenges, I get. So it's almost like they each have almost certain factions of their own Donald Trump.
Yes.
So it's like the entire world is wrestling with, this new energy that cropped up during this last election cycle, and everybody's trying to get their arms back around it. So it's almost like, when you have crazy relatives, then you understand your next door neighbor, they have crazy relatives too. I get it.
Right.
So I think that's all part of this reset. And once the new field of leaders gets in place, we're going to see a lot better communication, a lot better transaction between all the countries. Yeah.
Starting because Johnson in the UK, I see some big stuff happening with him that he'll be out of there.
Yeah, I was kind of on the same time track as Trump.
Did you ever ask your guides about the monarchy? Is this the last monarchy, or did they ever say anything? It's not important, but
in what respect?
Just that, a lot of psychics have said that I think after the Queen passes, will they continue on, or are people going to get tired of them having all that money and people are wanting for things?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see it continuing on, but it will change. It will change the way it interacts with society. So there'll be new kind of responsibilities and new ways that it adds value. So this is, everybody's
this is kind of like a thing that they make money off of it. People come to see the castle. But the Queen said Charles would be the next one in line. So if Charles becomes the next one in line and he tries to get Camilla in as the Queen, after they said they wouldn't do that, then you will see rioting. You'll see people going crazy.
You will. And I see that whole transaction being very short-lived. So if that does start to happen, it's almost like it starts and stops. So it's like it goes 6-12 months or something, and then something else happens that causes a shift in the
because I see William as king.
Yeah, don't see Charles or Camilla as, you know,
Yeah,
long
she
term.
said she was passing the baton to Charles, but
It's a very fast cycle. It just comes in 6, 12 months, and then it's on to the next. Um,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, poor Charles. He waited for so long.
Almost too long, unfortunately. Yeah.
He
But,
just barely is in there. And then if he has to go.
yeah. Yeah. But it'll definitely continue on in a different way. Yeah. It'll be
Okay.
viewed differently in history. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Sterling. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we can reach you at sterlingpsychicmedium.com.
You sure can. sterlingpsychicmedium.com, and there's an easy booking tool up there, and you know, happy to be of help.
Okay, great. And it's good meeting you because I never got to see you before. We only
Right,
talked
first time, and virtually
first
here. So we'll have to,
Yeah,
when all this dies down, we'll have to get together and we'll give each other a hug.
there you go. And party. No.
I'm 6 feet.
All right. We'll have Mexican. That's what I'm talking.
There you
All
go.
right, my friend.
All right.
Thank you so much.